Hey everyone, so I managed to finish this data engineering tutorial. This is a very fresh tutorial from March 2024. I use technologies such as bigquery, dbt, docker, mage, and kafka. So this was actually pretty sophisticated tutorial for me, and I learned lots of things. So I want to quickly walk you through the tutorial. So this is the actual conceptual architecture. So as you can see, we have a virtual machine that is deployed on Google Cloud. It has some API that is streaming data to a Kafka cluster that is deployed on Confluent. Then the mage, which is the Airflow alternative, it is a data orchestrator. It consumes data from Kafka cluster and basically pushes it to Google BigQuery. In the Google BigQuery, we have additional dbt tool that is doing some transformations and returning back the transformed data. This is a small ETL process, and then you can see everything in the looker. I decided to make it a little bit more challenging and made it into a using EC2 instead of Google Cloud because I have some free credits. And instead of Confluent, I decided to use upstash. Upstash is like serverless Kafka cluster, so you only have username and password, and you can basically connect and start your own Kafka cluster without managing administration tasks. So also I removed the locker. So here it took me about like a freaking 5 days or even a week to finish this one. So initially what you do is you go to the UK Companies House website and you register and you get IP key, API key, so that you can authenticate and get the data. So this is what the UK Companies information service website looks like. It is basically developers API suite, and we're only interested in companies house public data API. So let me actually just show you a little bit of code. So basically the topic name is company house. So what I'm doing here is I'm producing data. In order to produce data, I first have to go to the website, use my actual API key. I'm using a request library. It is returning me actually some response. And in this response, I basically iterate and build a small data set, basically like a container, not a Docker container, but just this container company profile that has some data about every company. Then I try to populate this with newly streamed data. And after that, I'm actually pushing it like here. This is the producer send. I'm pushing it as a JSON dump with a key as a message number and the value as the entire message. This whole entire Python code, it needs to be Dockerized, right? So then I actually Dockerize it. This is the Docker container, right? I Dockerize it. I actually start the container, and this is the log information coming from that container, right? So it is sending data. This is the company profile, which consists of fields, which is company name, company number, status, date of creation, months of creation, published at. And this data is getting continuously streamed to a serverless upstash. This is upstash. As you can see, it offers a bunch of services like Redis, Vector, QStash, and Kafka, serverless Kafka. I'm using free trial here, so this is my Kafka, this is my UK house cluster, and it only has one topic, which is company house. Topic name has to match. So as you can see, I'm actually having some data that is continuously being pushed. So if we actually look into it, we see that I'm actually I can read the exact same thing that's being produced, right? The company name, company number, basically the company profile, and it has key and it has offset. It has two partitions. So I'm actually I can see even some graphs. This is some charts showing the usage, how much data is consumed and produced. So there is in total, I think it's about 11,000 messages. Going back to my general diagram, so as you can see, this entire API and producing to Kafka topic Docker container is running and it's producing to upstash. From upstash, I can consume data from anywhere, right? So my actual app is not really a strictly Python app, but it is a data orchestrator. It's called Mage, and this is the first time I'm using it. Also, this is the first time I'm using dbt. So Mage, I actually started Mage on the same machine, on the same EC2 instance, in the Docker container as well. So I'm gonna actually show you. This is the actual Mage. It is running inside a Docker container on the same machine where my Docker Docker container that reads and produces data to Kafka is running. So they're running on the same machine. So this is the actual sort of like the diagram, right? So my actual Kafka consumer is not really a Python code. It is rather this thing. It's called data loader, and it is in the form of YAML file. So this is the username and password that I actually got from my like credentials page on my upstash. Yeah, so this is actually very convenient, right? So for every language that you use, for the most popular languages, you can just basically obtain this entire thing. This is boilerplate code for producer and consumer. You can put this code in any consumer producer application and Dockerize it. So this is my basically consumer. This is the data loader. It is in the form of a YAML file. First time I'm actually seeing this. And this is my transformer, which is actually like code, right? So this is these two blocks in my actual like data architecture diagram. So it's actually basically it's creating a data frame and it's authenticating to a bigquery, and it's putting this data frame, this pandas data frame, and it's loading it into a bigquery. From that point on, it's all about the transformation done between bigquery and dbt. So this is my like data set. This is UK house streaming. These are different tables and data sets. In production, I actually have these three things running: company house score, get last time type, and snapshot streaming data. So company house score is the like sort of static data set that contains all of the interesting companies, and snapshot streaming data is continuously updated thing. It's continuously updated table. From that point, it's all working with dbt cloud, which is a totally separate tool. Here I have like jobs. This is my models, actual like code that is getting translated into SQL code, right? This is my SQL code that does the transformations. You can see this is some like diagram showing who does what. This is the schema. It actually has like staging and development and production. Yeah, so it actually took me a while to wrap my head around this and get it done. So finally what happens here is that this snapshot streaming data is getting continuously updated, and it's basically just it's matching with the company house score, which is a set of static company profiles, right? And I also have my my production jobs, which are actually scheduled to be like running every 20, 40, 60 minutes. Next run in 7 minutes, as you can see. So these are the recent runs, success rate. You see the diagram, you see the chart. These are the last successful runs. Yeah, so basically it's triggering and populating dbt. Is triggering and populating these three tables in the prod data set. I'm not sure about the actual value of this, as I just followed the tutorial. I'm not sure about the actual value, but the whole idea was to show how to manipulate data. And yeah, this was actually quite a lot of work. Basically, before you actually run the mage container, the mage orchestrator, you have to open, because this is a Docker container, you have to open the port 679, which is located right here. This is the UK house, my EC2 instance, right? In this instance, you have to go to networking and you have to locate the security groups, and you have to open the 6789 incoming security rule. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the security group that is attached to my EC2 instance, and you can see I actually opened an inbound rule 6789. 6789 is the Docker container port of the mage. Without this, you would not be able to access it from anywhere, so you have to open this port. This was an interesting thing to do. So, but this is not mentioned in the tutorial, right? This is not mentioned in the tutorial. The tutorial is kind of not as detailed as I wanted, so I had to actually sit and do many things myself. Anyways, I'm really satisfied with the fact that I actually managed to finish this tutorial, right? I Dockerized, I'm pushing and producing data and consuming data, and I used a bunch of different tools. If you want to follow this tutorial, I will provide the GitHub repo, but actually my code, not this tutorial, but my code. That's going to be a little bit more detailed.